And we're live. Magallo, Magallo, Magallo. Just kidding. I'm not trying to sell you furniture. Hi, I'm Andrew and welcome to Pasta Hotline. We're going to be making some homemade pasta and this is a homemade live stream. So this is what we get up to in isolation. And yeah, with me today I've got Kesha, my wonderful girlfriend, and Nikki, our camera guy. So you might hear them rustling around in the background, but they're just helping out, so don't sweat it. Thanks to everyone that has joined. This is going to be a pretty wholesome experience. We're going to be making pasta, and yeah, if you've got any questions, just post those along in the video chat, and I'll be watching those as we're making pasta and answering as many questions as possible. As this is our first live stream event, if we do run into any technical difficulties, just bear with us and yeah, we'll get the video back up. Yeah, so week one, we're making spaghetti. Spaghetti is a really good starting point to make pasta. That's how I learnt to make pasta with my nonna. And as we go through the weeks, tune in and we'll start to make some more complex pastas. Just to do a quick recap on some of the ingredients, pretty simple. We've got eggs and we've got flour. The eggs, you can use 1 egg per person as a guide. And with the flour, I'm going to be showing you a cool technique that you can do to get that ratio right. In terms of equipment, I use a pasta machine to roll out the pasta, but if you've got a rolling pin, that's good too. It's just going to take a bit longer, but yeah, you can pick up some pasta machines pretty cheap. Yeah, I got mine from, what's the place called again? Mediterranean Wholesalers. Okay, so I'll use a fork. If you've got a fork, that's good. That's really good to mix the pasta. And a knife to cut it up into some even slices later. All right, so in terms of the process to make homemade pasta, the first thing we're going to do, start off with a glass of red. It's integral for cooking. And yeah, you probably want to make sure you've got a clean bench. We're going to be throwing flour around. You can have a good food fight. Yeah, but yeah, make sure you've got a clean bench. And yeah, like, let's get started. So hopefully you got everything. I'll give you a minute. If you need to get some stuff, run to the kitchen. You're probably already in the kitchen, so I'll take a sip.
How did you learn to make pasta this way?
Learned to make pasta this way with my nonna. Yeah, so she has a traditional way of making pasta. And yeah, learned by just watching. So this is perfect for everyone that's tuning in. All right. Cool. So the flour we're using is plain flour. Start off by just putting a bit on the table. And what we're going to do is put enough flour and we're going to visualize putting cracked eggs into a well. So the well is, just use your hands, presumably you've washed them like I have. If not, probably want to do that. Isolation. Yeah, so what I'm doing here is I've put enough flour on the table with a thick enough wall so that when I crack the eggs and I put them in, it's going to try and get a level surface. And we'll do the mixing on the table. Have your flour handy just in case you need to add a little bit more. Wise friend once told me, flour is your friend. Thanks, Amadeo. Okay, so for the eggs, like I said before, about 1 per person. And to keep things pretty simple for today, I'm just going to make enough for 3 people, so 3 eggs. All right. If you get a bit of shell in there, don't stress. You can take them out with the fork use the rest of the shell. Oh, juicy. All right. All right, so if you do manage to break the side of the wall on the well, like I have pre-planned to show you, just cover it up with a bit of flour. All right. Just grab your fork, start popping the yolk. These are free-range eggs, so I always use free-range eggs. If you can get them from a farm, even better. And just gently mix it. It's pretty simple. I find making pasta is a good way to relax. It could be end of the week, could be midweek. Just need to chill out, make some pasta, do it with friends, put on a record, have a glass of wine. It's really good. So you'll notice I'm not going too crazy here. I'm just sort of gradually getting flour in from the sides of the well that we made. You can start to just flick in a bit more flour. Oh wow, lots of people. All right. When it starts to get a bit more combined, you can just start to swirl it around, make the well bigger. It is. Elliot says that this is also a good technique for mixing concrete. I don't disagree. All right.
Talk about the well.
All right, so I'm going to just sort of try to mix the remaining flour into the mixture. If you find it's getting really messy, just have fun with it. You know, sometimes the eggs overflow in the well right at the start. Sometimes this is the most difficult part of the process, but it's also fun, keeps you on your toes.
When Chelsea broke the well.
All right, so what I'm going to do now is start to combine this into like a ball, and just remove some excess flour. We won't waste that though, of course. And yeah, just lightly picking up as much of the flour as possible. You'll notice when I'm kneading this, I'm not really like scrunching the pasta. You kind of want to like flatten and disperse the surface area of the dough, and that's going to reveal the pasta that can pick up the flour. So it'll start to become a bit drier and a bit firmer.
Some tunes.
Tunes, yeah, I mean, chuck on some tunes if you want. Hopefully you've already got them going. Hey? Yeah, hopefully you've got them going. I usually like doing this with records and wine. All right. Yeah. All right. So you'll notice that the mixture is starting to really take shape. It's quite soft. So this is going to become a lot harder, and the harder the pasta at the end, probably the better the result. Okay, I did put way too much flour here, but that's all good. All right, So the technique really is to repeat this process for a little bit. So I'll try and look at some more comments as we're doing this. Yeah, this is the messy part. Thanks, Tori. Yes, that's right, Laurie. Harder is always better. When it comes to pasta, of course. Slower, please. All right. So, the technique in rolling the pasta that I do, or kneading the pasta, is I use my palm and I push it forwards and then kind of like roll it back, turn it 90 degrees and do the same process. And the more you do that and you pick up some of the flour, you'll notice that it really is an effective way to get the whole dough covered in flour rather than just the outside. So you can imagine just rolling it around on the table and not actually getting the inside of the dough dry from picking up the flour. So if you're going to be doing this for more people, let's say you're making dinner for 8 people, you probably, well, what I do is I will try my luck and make a really big well. There's a lot of guessing involved. Or you could make 2 smaller batches. And if you're going to do it with friends, it's a good thing to do together. So you could have lots of little wells with 2 eggs, or you could do just 2 batches of 4 if you're making it for 8 people. Kesha, you've been invited to help clean the kitchen with me afterwards. It's all right. I usually get pasta on the floor. For a little while, we had a dog here, Darcy. Shout out to Tori, because Darcy is a wonderful lab, so placid, so fun. And yeah, she would look up anything that fell on the floor. It's good. All right, so quick checkpoint, have a bit of a wine sip. I'm not too sure, a glass of red.
Drinking a
Montepulciano.
from your region, Abruzzo.
Yeah, it's Abruzzese. Yeah, but quick checkpoint on the dough. It's if you're not feeling that this is getting firmer, I don't know, you probably need to get more flour there. Yeah. So you can do a quick test by poking it.
Amadeus says he's pretty hungry. Brendan says, what are you drinking? If you want to repeat it.
All right, what? I'll need a bit of help from the crew. I had wine delivered. I didn't actually take notice of what I was drinking.
I can hold it. So say again, you're drinking a Montepulciano from Abruzzo.
It's a Montepulciano from Abruzzese. It's an Illuminati wine. Oh, wow. Wow. How firm should it be? Good question from Chelsea. Okay, so it's all going to be like on instinct, really, but basically a good way to gauge it is as you roll out the dough, if you feel like you can, it's still like pliable and you can like manipulate it, it probably could do with more work. If it starts to become really hard to even do the kneading process, that's awesome. The difference it makes, what I've found is when you're running it through the pasta machine, if the dough's too soft, it'll start to tear. But the harder it is, it'll come out a little bit more like a sheet of paper. And I suppose once you've made it once and if you've run it through, you can sort of have a bit of a mental check on how much you've kneaded the dough, and you can see the result. So hopefully when I run this through for the first time, it'll come out a little bit awkward looking, but it won't have any tears or holes in it. So yeah, basically if you push it with your finger and it takes a long time to press back up, that's probably a good sign.
Where are you going to put your pasta when you've finished it? Are you going to put it on a rack that you made?
Yeah, well, I had some good friends help me make a rack. Maybe I'll get some of the crew to help set that up later. I didn't think about that. But yeah, an easy thing to do, the traditional way is to just get a tea towel, clean tea towel, and after we've put it through the pasta machine, you want to space them out. So the trick there is to make sure that there's lots of flour on the pasta so that the pasta doesn't stick together. And yeah, like the tea towel's good so it doesn't build up too much moisture in the environment. So if you're making it along with me right now and you're feeling the dough's getting firmer, maybe even changing a bit of color, becoming more yellow, that's a good sign.
Henry's asked a question.
How many times do you think you've made pasta? Good question, Henry. How many times? Probably about 50, maybe 50 or 60 times. So when I was starting, it was, I watched my nonna make pasta probably about 5 or 6 times, like end to end, just to see exactly what she does. And then I was like, can I have a go? And then she like slapped my hand. She's like, nope, doing it wrong. And I just started. So that was a fun experience. But yeah, like after the first couple of times, built up a lot of confidence with it. And really, it's not much can go wrong once you get the hang of what is actually a pretty simple process. And yeah, like the good thing about making homemade pasta is it just is much nicer to eat. It's lighter on the stomach. You don't get overly sleepy. If you're really hungry, you could probably eat more of it. And then when you start making your own sauces, which I'd love some recommendations on what sauces everyone likes, maybe we could do a session on that. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to bring the pasta closer to the camera in just a minute. $50, surely. Yeah, so there's some weeks where I just want to make it all the time. Pasta enthusiast, remember?
Alan says, does the same process apply for semolina flour?
Oh, that's a great question from Alan. So does the same process apply for semolina flour? Personally, I haven't made it with semolina flour, so I'm not 100% sure, but I have heard of people varying the recipe slightly. Some people put a bit of water or a bit of oil, and there's different types of flour. I'd imagine that the process is fairly similar, but yeah, it's just probably about trying to get the right consistency. So you might need to knead it for longer, or add more water, or add more eggs. Some people put like egg yolks, like they put the eggs in and then put like egg yolks as well. I think that's to make it more creamier. Could be wrong. I haven't done that. I just use the whole egg. I find it's a really good gauge. All right, I'm gonna try and bring this a bit closer to the camera. Hey. How close? To this camera? Yeah, this is getting pretty good. You'll notice it's not caked in flour. It's like, if you look at it and you press it, it's got flour on it, but it's not like caked. We're not making a cake. We can dough. All right. I'll probably do this for a little bit longer, only because I'm talking to the camera and probably doing it a little bit slower than I normally would. But yeah, it's good. Like, this can also be seen as a therapeutic exercise. So I mentioned I don't mind pouring a glass of red and making pasta at the end of a week. I feel like it's a good way to unwind. Yep. Bene. That's the shot right there. Thanks, Daniel. Okay, I'm finding that this is getting pretty tough to knead now, which is good. So don't be afraid to build up a bit of a sweat. You know, you can take breaks. It's okay. It's a labor of love. And when you cook this later, you'll see the benefits, 100%. What's my favorite type of pasta? Good question. Depends how I feel. Probably fettuccine. I think fettuccine is it's fun to have in a bowl. You can plate it up and kind of spiral it and make it look fancy. Goes well with a red sauce or a lighter sauce. All right. Alan, do the eggs need to be at room temperature? Question from Alan. Look, that's probably a good thing, you know, like having the temperature right. I grabbed these eggs that came out of the fridge. It's not going to be the end of the world. So the pasta's not going to be fussy as long as you attend it. Question from Elliot. What sauce are you having tonight? Well, I'm going to do a bit of a quick sauce, which is kind of cheating. It's using a pesto, but that's because I was working today and didn't really have time. But normally, if I'm making a dish like this, like spaghetti, I would do a red sauce. Red sauce is my favorite. So it's bolognese. You can put the sauce on for about 2 hours and get that cooking and getting the house smelling just absolutely yum. If you've got herbs from the garden, like basil, even if you've just got basil, it makes the experience even that much more wholesome. And also, like, can't beat stuff from the garden. Sometimes my mum gives me stuff from her garden and yeah, it's great. If you're interested in a good bolognese recipe, drop a note because I will consider doing that. Maybe not for the full 2.5 hours, but I'll walk you through the process at the very least. Okay, so this is like pretty firm now. Like, this is what you want. Well, it's here. If you're making it along with me, you'll find it's quite hard. If you're making this with more than 3 eggs, you'd still be kneading it. So yeah, like It's kind of good. Like you can also keep this for like, if you made say 6 eggs worth, you can have some like leftovers, and that way you don't have to like make it like just for the meal. You made it for the meal that you're about to have for dinner, and then you have some the next day for lunch, dinner. Hey, Swinny, good to see ya. Getting a workout. Well, that's pretty tough, you know, can't go to the gym during ISO. Try doing like those body exercises and stuff. That's like, it's not that motivating. So I just thought I'll make pasta more frequently. Yeah, Tori, you hear it's the best. You're lucky enough to be able to try it. Oh, and she makes it. Oh, yes. Actually, shout out to Tori, the red sauce she made the other day, or the other week actually, was pretty phenomenal. Had a good heat to it. I reckon always use a bit of chili if you can. Tori for red sauce. All right, I reckon I'm almost done here with this. I don't know, Nick, if you want to like somehow zoom in onto this, or I can bring it up to the camera. But what I've done is got it to a point where I'm tired. So use that as a gauge. All right. All right. So you may have just bought a pasta machine, or maybe you've got one and you've forgotten what to do. So I'll walk you through some of the basics. I'm just gonna like wash my hands a little bit. Okay. All right, so one of these things, like if you've got a rolling pin, I should mention, like just try and like scrape off some of like the excess pasta on the table, get a nice flat surface so that when you're rolling it, you've got a nice flat surface. But for those who have a pasta machine, so there's like this thing on the end of the pasta machine that you want to be facing inside the table, and you want to find like an edge of a table where you can put it on and give yourself plenty of space more to the left where you can start to roll the pasta through. So I put it on the edge of the table, it's kind of flush. On the knob here, it's on 0. You'll probably notice numbers. For a spaghetti, I'm gonna make a thick spaghetti, probably go, like the numbers range, but I'll probably go up about 3 steps or so. The more steps you go, the finer it will be. So you do need to bolt it to the table. It's kind of like a vise. And yeah, you don't want to do it too tight because then you probably won't be able to get it off afterwards. I've done that and had a bit of a panic attack. All right, that's not going anywhere. Alrighty, this is the handle. This will handle the situation. All right, so don't put the whole thing through the pasta machine. It's not going to work. That's a problema. What I'm going to do is just kind of like make sure the dough is round and try to divide it into even pieces. So we've used 3 eggs. Let's just make this simple. I'm going to cut it in half. Okay? If you have a look on the inside, what camera have we got, Nikki? If you have a look on the inside, this looks amazing. It's like it's dense, and that's because of all the flour. I'll bring that close. Alrighty. It's quite dense. All right. I usually just make sure there's flour on all the sides. Another milestone. More dad jokes, Kesha says. Yeah, I'll keep them coming. All right, so I then sort of like just try to flatten each piece out to like a disc shape. You can keep it round, it's okay, not fussy. All right. Okay, so I've got those there. I should have mentioned this before, but if you're like, oh no, I can't get the dough off the table, and you don't have any like special utensils, surely you have a spatula. Spatulas are good. You can just put that face down and you won't damage your tabletop. So what I'm doing is I'm making sure that the table is hasn't got any like crazy lumps on it, so that when I like lay the pasta out, it's got a nice flat surface. Okay, that's pretty good. All right. What do you want me to do? Oh, how are we going? You want me to slow down? Write a comment if you want me to slow down. I did slow down for a little bit. Hopefully she's still with us. Yeah, if people are all good, I'm gonna proceed to the most exciting part. So that was the labor of love bit. We're gonna like roll through some bits here and yeah, we're getting there. We're gonna get spaghetti soon. So cool. Nick, do you want to swap to the other camera? Where's my back? Cool. All right, okay. So let's put this here for comments. All right, so I've got this on numero 0, which is 0. And yeah, like I've flattened this as much as possible. It's probably about 3/4 of a centimeter. And yeah, we're not gonna be too precious. We're just gonna like try to get the edges in and slowly feed that through. All right, here we go. Okay, so this is looking good. There's no like major holes. And what we would like to do is I'm just gonna make a bit of room. All right, so we're gonna do like this folding technique. So you can fold it halfway. If that fits, that's good. If it's not enough, you can fold it like a couple times. And what I tend to do every time I fold it is instead of feeding it in the same, like instead of it going in like that, we're gonna turn it 90 degrees and feed it in sideways. The reason why we do this is it helps create straight edges. So we've gone from like a blob of dough to something that starts to get a bit more shape. You can see after just 2 lines, we're going to do plenty of these, you start to get a bit of shape. All right, so if you've got your flour nearby, that's good, because what will happen is as you roll it through over and over, you're going to be exposing wetter bits of the dough, and it might stick. So you want to get a bit of flour, sprinkle it on, give it a pat. Kesha, just shout out if you see any good comments for me to attend. Francis says, don't slow down.
And Alan Wong says, need more Italian.
Needs more Italian. Certo, which means certainly.
Elliot says, props for the camera work. Well done, Mickey.
I know. He's a legend.
Dad's trolling me.
There you go. It's a good life. Hopefully you're feeling pretty chilled, because this is an experience that I wanted to surpass your expectations. Dad jokes again. All right, so you can see it's got some straight edges. When you feel like it's something good to work with, it's not too wide for the machine, it's not too thin, your edges are straight. That's your, we've got a question. That's your calling. Okay, if you don't have zero, that's a question from Sam Sally. If your pasta machine doesn't have zero, just go on the first number that's available. So we'll be going up in steps. I'll try from here on to just refer to the step number. But yeah, my pasta machine here, I think it goes up to a 9. But you know, I've seen ones that go up to 4. You know, much of muchness. It's all the same at the end of the day. It's all relative, you know. Science comes into this as well. Oh, if you went up to a 9, your pasta would be transparent. I'm fairly certain of that, although I haven't actually tried. Angel hair pasta, maybe. I have no idea. It's a realm I haven't entered. But, oh yeah. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So like with spaghetti, I on mine, you know, and try and keep in mind the scale. I would, a thin spaghetti is probably like a 6. So for me, that's 6 steps. But today I'm going to go to a 2 or a 3 because I've been making a carbonara lately, and it's nicer with a thicker pasta. But yeah, the more you go with this and the thinner it gets, the longer these sheets will become. I mean, look at that. It's pretty fun. Don't forget the flour. You know, I don't think at this point you can overdo it. The only thing I recommend is if you have like little pieces, I try not to like get them squashed in there. It's not nice. Okay, so I put this through, I don't know how many times, I haven't been counting, but I think when I'm rolling it, I'm noticing that it's kind of like just passing through. So when I initially did it, there was like a bit of a grip. Now it's just passing through. I'll do it one more time. You can't do it too much, but you know, you just get the tip in there. It's just passing through, and you kind of guide it with your hand. You don't want to get too cocky and like lose track, and it'll get tangled. So gotta be careful. But yeah, when it's doing that, you can change the gauge on the machine. So some machines, you can just twist it. This one, be careful, some of them are like this. You have to lift it and then pull it out. Yeah, if you're finding it's not turning, then you probably want to try lifting it, try pulling it out. But yeah, I probably skipped over this process, but you just kind of let it go here and then you feed it through. If you find yourself doing this, what's going to happen is as you go thinner, your pasta is going to stretch. You're going to get like weird not fingerprints, but like it's going to reduce the smoothness of your pasta. So yeah, I tend to like leave it on the tabletop and just hook in the first bit. All right. Another cool thing to sort of be aware of is as you change the gauge on your pasta machine, what's actually happening is you've got like two like cylinders like closing in, and what's happening is it's compressing the pasta little bit by little bit. This is a good pasta machine, got it from Mediterranean wholesalers. You can get cheaper ones, and I've used them and they're fine, but what I've noticed is they can have like the two cylinders are not actually like perfectly parallel, and it's kind of going to create a cone. They might be angled slightly. It's going to create a cone as you're twisting it, which if that happens, not a drama, just be aware of it, and then like what you can do is you can just turn your pasta around. Problem solved. You know, keep it simple, keep it wholesome. I haven't checked comments in a while. All right, you're doing it. Oh my, hey Dad. Yes, Nonna taught me well. She made. All right, I'm going to speed things up a little bit, just so you're not getting boring. Show you how you can get into action. You've got some tunes in the background. Can be like dancing and stuff. Okay. Yeah, I'll get to that. It's all right. But yeah, we clean the bench space. All right. I am taking my time here. I'm going to go to number 2, and yeah, just do the same process. I've basically just turned it up one step. So go up another step if you've been following along. And yeah, like I said before, while I'm explaining this, I've probably taken a little bit longer, but yeah, it's all fun. So, thanks for tuning in. Loving the comments so far. It's working. Chelsea said her pasta is coming to life. That is fantastic. Fantastico. All right, so I think I'm going to stop at number 2. And essentially what I'm going to do is, when I've got the pasta sheet, if yours looks something like that, put it on a flat surface. Some chunks in this flour, be careful. Flour one side, to the other, and then you move on to the next one. So I'm going to go through this one a little bit on turbo, but if you're making some pasta at home, I want you to build up your confidence as well and go a bit faster. Oh, great. Hi, Mum and Dad. We should have dinner soon. Oh, we can't though, it's isolation. All right. Again, no holes, all a result of kneading it plenty at the start. I will. And again, like Amadeo says, flour is your friend. It's looking good. I'm not going to be too precious. I'm just going to keep feeding this through. For those that may not have noticed, I've moved this back to 0, or number 1 for you, Sam Sally. What do you mean? Oh, if your pasta machine shows 9 as the first point, just be aware of like the distance of the cylinders in your pasta machine. And for those who are using a rolling pin, I'm sorry I haven't given you a bit of a guide. That's thickness of this is, I'd say like between 2 and 3 mils. But yeah, if you are you just want to work from the widest distance and close in. Like, I guess the notion is you want to flatten the pasta. Okay. All right. Hope this is making your Thursday a little bit more interesting. So I was thinking, you know, we start with spaghetti, fettuccine. I wanted to do second in the second week because that's probably my favorite. But yeah, I think you can do some pretty cool things. I was going to take you through some ravioli the following week, lasagna, which is a little bit more complex. I'm going to change the dial now. Yeah, the complex pasta, complex carbohydrates, it's all a part of it, you know? It's all wholesome. It's one thing. Finishing. Oh, yeah, the grand finale. If you stick around for the 5th week, if we're still in lockdown, we can give gnocchi a go. Yeah. It's using potatoes rather than flour and egg, although flour and egg are ingredients. So you could say you add potatoes to this. All right. Gonna knock your socks off. Probably say that every time I make gnocchi. Yeah, if this is like a learning experience for you and you're enjoying it, I'm sure you're gonna do it again. About the song? What do you call this song? It matches your shirt. I like, the flower. I think I understand his train of thought. Yeah, so if you want to make pasta next week and you've prepared a sauce, my hot tip is you make the sauce the day before and you can leave it in the fridge and then you heat it up, and I think that honestly makes the flavors come out that much more. Shout out to Lucy who made her sauce at lunchtime. It's fantastic. Fantastico. Magallo, magallo, magallo. If you guys are feeling inspired and you want to mix up the plans, you know, I'm a listener, so, you know, put in what you want and I listen to the people. What sauce you want, I can give you some tips on sauces. Or if you're like, nah, I don't want to do fettuccine, I know it's your favorite, but like, show me something different. Yeah, I you know, suss that out. If you're like, what's something that goes with a white wine? No? I don't know. I'll say I'm not a wine connoisseur. Don't ask me that. I make pasta. All right. We're almost there, people. I'm on my last gauge. It's gone through pretty smooth. So what I'm going to do is quickly show you something. If you're making lots of sheets, you got to make sure these are floured up because you can put them on top of each other. I've made stacks of pasta before. So the more flour, the less they'll stick, the better. What was I going to do? Yeah, so I'm going to make spaghetti. So I've got a extension here. This is a round spaghetti. And if you've never put one of these on your pasta machine before, you'll notice this apparatus has like a little lipped edge. Yours likely will as well. And then there's like a hole on one side that is where this is gonna go. So with the lipped edge that goes on the lipped edge of the pasta machine, and you don't need to force it. None of this is forced. This is a beautiful mechanical invention. It just goes in like that. And you take out the handle and you change it to the other one. And I mean, how insanely cool is that? You've now got something that's rolling the spaghetti. All right, so what I'm gonna do, and what I recommend you do as well, is you take another sip of wine because we've reached another milestone. All right. And what else? The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just do this on the basis people haven't made their own pasta rack like I have. Just get a clean tea towel and yeah, you just place that next to your sheets of pasta. Question from Chelsea. What number do we go to make it ready for cutting? Okay, I'll talk a little bit more about cutting. So there is no rules about the number you need to go to, but if you want to follow along with me, I'm going to number 2, which is 2 steps up, whatever number your pasta machine starts with. And that's going to make a thicker pasta. So you could go anywhere between that and I think before it's like too fine, maybe like 6, anywhere between 2 and 6 steps up. It's really up to you. And you will find that the more steps up you go, the thinner your pasta is going to be and the more delicate it's going to be to handle. So I've gone with something easy intentionally for week 1. But yeah, if you don't have a pasta machine and you've just like spent all this time rolling stuff out to like between 2 and 3 mils, you're like, now what? Just grab a knife that has like a sharp tip point. If you've got a ruler, get a ruler because you'll use that and you can like slice it. Just be careful, like you're not wrecking your tabletop. But yeah, a nice sharp knife, you can cut anything to your own desire. You can make a thicker version if you want. If you really don't want to make spaghetti, just cut yourself a thicker. If you've got another extension piece for fettuccine and you're like just dying for fettuccine tonight, then you can make some fettuccine. No, and if you don't have a rolling pin, a wine bottle is good. Just take the label off. Okay. This is the money shot. Have you got the camera on this guy? All right. Drum roll. And that's spaghetti. What I tend to do is, before it gets to the very end, you can like grab it and that's it. Now, I've gone a little bit fancy. I actually haven't done this before, but I didn't cut the pasta into a reasonable serving size. We've now got like this really long spaghetti, which I'm actually quite happy with. I'm going to enjoy having this. You just want to like lay it out on your tea towel. I won't rush here.
Are you going to cut the other ones?
Yeah, I'm going to cut the other one for a reference. So, look, if you find yourself with loose strands, it's all good, pick them up. Okay. If you're not a fan of spaghetti that is like 45 centimeters long, just like cut it to your desired length. That's also cool because it gives you a nice straight edge. All right, so I've got 2 more. You'll notice as well, like when I made the sheets, I didn't feed it through and then put that to the side and then like roll the next piece and then feed that one through. I think it'll be better to just like make all the pasta or the spaghetti all at once and you lay it out because they can stick together if you leave them for too long. But if you're getting hungry, you probably want to put some water to boil and then chuck that on the stove. And before you throw your pasta in, you want to salt the water. Don't know why that's important, but it's It's gospel. All right. So this is a shorter length pasta, probably more preferable. This is looking good.
That is the money shot. Right
It's looking
there.
pretty good.
Mate, tell them that just grab it though.
It's kind of like hair, but not. It's pasta. All right.
Talk about grabbing it as it comes through.
Yeah, so you might be like amazed, you know, it's coming out, it's like magic. But keep your eye before it gets to the end, because you can lose it and then it's all clumped, and it makes the laying it out to dry it out process. Oh, you also notice I didn't like let the pasta sit for a while, but you could let it sit for a while before you do this rolling process. I think it's not like a hard rule. You don't have to let it sit. I've literally been like so hungry, I've just smashed it together and thrown it in the pot as quick as I can with no resting. It's still a very good result. But you can also leave it on a tea towel and like let that dry. Which camera have I got?
Someone said you've got very supple hands.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, so like generally what I would do is like have it all like laid out on a long tea towel, but I've only just got a half tea towel here. Keep things close together. That is like great. Like if you haven't got your sauce ready, you can be like, just leave this here and then like tend your sauce. Like I said before, I'm cheating tonight. I'm just gonna cook the pasta and then stir through some pesto. Sometimes I make a bit more of an effort with pesto and build out the components a little bit more. But yeah, I really wanted to just get everyone across how to do the basics. We've made spaghetti. Don't forgetty. And it's for me, I've enjoyed this. It's been an hour. It's been a blissful hour. I don't know which camera to look at, but it's been a blissful hour. And I thank all the people. There's been lots of people joining in, playing along at home. Yeah, I'm going to finish this wine and then dine with some of my friends. So, yeah. Oh, I'm now on this camera. Magallo, Magallo, Magallo. Yeah, I suppose this is the bit where I talk about what's happening. If you enjoyed yourself tonight, if you felt it was a wholesome experience, if you like that guy's built up enough confidence to do week 2 a little bit better, then yeah, join in. I'm gonna make a very similar style pasta, fettuccine. It's flatter and we're gonna make it a bit thinner as well. If you're getting excited about like whipping together fresh pasta with the sauce, prepare it beforehand. But yeah, join me next week. Gonna make some fettuccine, gonna have another glass of red, and yeah, let us know if you have any preferences, because I'm happy to tune into what you want as well. Thank you, and thank you to the crew, who will eventually tell me the live stream is over. But yeah, thank you.